pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag of the
of the
United
United
States
States of America,
of America and
and
to the republic
for
for
which
which
it
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Someday.
someday.
Someday soon, going with them someday soon. Music, you know that song. Judy Collins, written by who? In any case, welcome everyone to our July meeting. We are still Zooming, and we will most likely Zoom for August also. We're not sure about our picnic. A little later on, we can all chip in as to whether we feel we would be comfortable to do a live picnic, probably at Pleasanton Sports Park, the same where we've been at least twice before. So what we want to do is start with one of our very own. We are pleased to have Sarah Lashonlou here to give us the inside stuff on social media in politics and elections. So the floor is yours, Sarah. Thank you for coming and presenting.
Of course. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, TV Dems. It's great to be here kind of addressing you guys. Normally I'm here every month as a spectator. So I'm excited to talk about this subject matter with you guys today. Also, I've been having internet issues today. So if I pause, don't worry, I'll probably reconnect shortly after that. But worst case, you can just Zoom chat me and be like, you're frozen. But anyway, so what we're going to do is chat a little bit about social media, where it's been, where we're at, and what the future might potentially look like, and how that is married with politics. And not just that, but also how you can get involved and utilize social media to the best of your experience and your knowledge to stay in this very relevant political conversation that is very much turning towards social media. So I'm going to share my screen, and this is a conversation. It's not a lecture. So if at any point you guys have questions or comments, feel free to just unmute and share. All right. So do you all see a PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you. So we're going to talk, like I said, about social media and politics. But before we do that, we all have to get on the same page about what social media even is. I'm sure we all have an idea of it. Maybe some of us are even active on it, but there is a definition for it, and we want to dive into that first. So according to Investopedia, social media is defined to be a computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through virtual networks and communities. It doesn't say anything there about, education or proofreading or fact checking or anything like that. Basically, what social media is it is a stage for you to share anything that goes on in your mind. And it's a really fascinating virtual place. Some interesting stats on social media, which is why this conversation is so important, is that currently it's estimated that over 4.5 billion people across the planet are active on social media. That's more than half of the population of Earth. And that may also be more than the number of people who actively participate in watching TV every day. So wow. Social media has a huge impact. Also, it's projected that by 2023, the number of social media users in just the US alone will be approximately 257 million, which when you factor out like youngins who don't use technology, that's like almost a considerable amount of the population, right? Some of the most popular social medias that if you're interested in getting involved with social media, I highly recommend that you check out are Facebook Messenger, which is also still Facebook, Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook, WhatsApp, which is also owned by Facebook, as well as Twitter and TikTok. So there are two conversations to be had about social media and its connection to politics. The first conversation is how it works for the politicians and political candidates and figures. The second conversation is how it works for us, the voters, right? So let's talk a little bit first about how social media is utilized by political candidates and political figures. Social media is a really strong, easy, and powerful tool for politicians to use because information spreads like wildfire on social media. Someone can write something online, and if if it gains traction and if it's seen by the right people at the right time, you can get over 1 million eyeballs to see that post in less than a day, So it's a really powerful tool to use when you're trying to spread a message. Another reason why social media is really powerful for political candidates and politicians is because it's actually a really, really strategic way to collect specifically small dollar donations, because until this information was so democratized, a lot of people weren't even involved with the political campaigning conversation. A lot of political candidates would just garner donations from the people that they knew, the people that they had access to and talked to on a day-to-day basis. But now you can actually get solicited by someone who's running for the Senate across the country via an email or an Instagram post, and they'll just be asking for $10. And a lot of people do contribute because they see those posts on social media. And $10 from like a couple people in every city in America turns into a lot of money. So social media is a fantastic way also to potentially fundraise for your campaign. And another reason why social media is becoming so popular for politics, which I kind of touched on before, is that it has a lot more eyeballs on it these days than TV, specifically, cable and running commercials, things like that. So it's very quickly becoming the most relevant form of like communication to people outside of your immediate network. So political candidates and politicians also utilize social media to their advantage to humanize themselves and make voters and people in America feel like they're friends with these people, because of course you're more likely to relate and support a candidate or a political figure if you see them live streaming and answering questions from a Q&A box and drinking a beer and pulling their husband into the screen in the middle of their kitchen, as Elizabeth Warren once did. Or in the case of Beto O'Rourke, you feel more relatable to this guy when he's literally live streaming a video of himself at the dentist. So it is, for better or for worse, there are so many psychological components to utilizing social media as a politician. I know it's made me feel like politics is more accessible to me, and I'm sure there are other people in this room who can relate. And it's not just political candidates who are utilizing social media, it's also political organizations and entities. The White House is having live streams with experts in fields and getting thousands of people to be watching it at that point in time when it's being live streamed. News sources, news channels are starting to live stream their own coverage of political events. And almost every political entity and organization now has a social media presence on every side of the political spectrum. And it's becoming a very, very easy way for us to connect with them. For instance, I could tweet something and then maybe Kamala Harris can even respond to it. You know what I'm saying? That was not as accessible to do not so long ago. But then there's also the other side of the conversation, right? Like, how do we as voters take advantage of social media? How do we use social media? And we do use social media. And it's not always, sometimes it's incredibly effective and efficient, and sometimes it's not. And we're going to get into that a little bit. But first, one last note, this is becoming a highly studied phenomenon, right? The University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business, as well as pretty much so many other universities in the States are researching politics and social media. And this is a clip of one of those. This is from University of Pennsylvania. They wrote an article about how social media is shaping political campaigns. And what it says is, their little snippet is, political newcomers can leverage social media to raise money and gain recognition, which could help them compete against incumbents, which is a big problem that we've had until recently. It's been almost impossible to challenge and beat an incumbent in office because you don't have the name recognition and you don't have the money and you don't have the funds. But with social media, that's starting to become less and less the case. And this is another snippet from that article that I really want to share with you guys because it's gold. It's so important. So Michael Bloomberg, when he ran for president, he spent almost $1 billion on his campaign, and nearly 70% of that went to advertising alone. And that shows how powerful it is to get your name out there to potential voters. And here it says, social media has changed the game, allowing incumbents and newcomers alike to speak directly to constituents on everything from policy to what they had for dinner. If you look at the way that politicians communicate today, it's very different than the way they used to communicate 5-10 years ago. So the times, the ways that we communicate and the closeness to our elected officials is changing, and it's changing rapidly. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows when it comes to social media and politics. We're no stranger to the fact that it's also being used, in a sense, it's being weaponized, by a lot of people who are trying to switch narratives of certain stories and whatnot. And there's a lot of psychological reasons behind this. But first and foremost, there have been and there will always continue to be for the foreseeable future conversations about social media and freedom of speech, right? And this is an interesting concept because when the Bill of Rights was written, when the Constitution was written, social media was absolutely not a thing that it existed, And this is a type of communication and language that is interesting and difficult to learn how to navigate legally. And that's why we're going to be having to hi, Kasha. We're going to have some difficult conversations as a country and a government. If we want to continue utilizing social media to the best of its abilities while presenting some sort of moderation or regulation that will prevent things from happening that have actually already happened in the past. Another issue with social media is that you don't get a representative perspective of what's going on in the world. You tend to get a very curated news feed based on what you interact with on social media because of the way that the algorithms work. The social media companies know that you're more likely to return to the app and scroll through your news feed if you like what you see. So their algorithms will give you what you like to see. And that will lead to your social media newsfeed becoming basically an echo chamber of the things that you already believe to be true. And that can lead from, it'll just push you further in the direction that you're already heading instead of challenging your preconceived notions and showing you new perspectives. And another issue with social media and politics is that there's not necessarily there doesn't need to be any accuracy of information that is shared on social media. I could go post a conspiracy theory tomorrow, and if it gets viral, it gets viral, And so on the topic of curated news feeds, confirmation bias, and echo chambers, I want to read a little snippet I found from a great article that really communicates this point. So even though most Americans continue to describe themselves as holding balanced views, we still naturally gravitate towards certain content online. So overall, algorithms will turn slight preferences to a polarized environment in which only the loudest voices and the most extreme opinions on either side can break through the noise. And none of us in this room are strangers to that concept. We've all seen it on the federal level, and it's dangerous. So there's got to be something to do, right? And furthermore, from the same article, social media companies rely on adaptive algorithms to assess our interests and flood us with information that will keep us scrolling. The algorithms ignore the frequency of what our friends are posting and instead focus on what we like, what we retweet, what we share, what makes us comfortable. Social media has removed traditional gatekeepers to information who evaluated stories for newsworthiness and accuracy. And while this has been a boon for the discovery of niche online groups who appreciate the same things you do, it also creates echo chambers in which a user is never presented with alternative perspectives. So what does this mean for the future of social media and politics? Well, first and foremost, as is already happening, TV and radio and traditional conventional forms of information are decreasing and will continue to do so. You know, we're listening to all of our news these days on Spotify through podcasts, and we're getting, you know, a lot of our information from Twitter and from Instagram and Facebook, etc. And that's just going to continue to be the case. The conversation about content moderation is also going to pick up. Who knows where it's going to go? I know that different regions of the world handle this topic in very different ways. But, you know, we've already had very intense conversations as a country about what freedom of speech really means, and who does that apply to, and does Twitter have the right to take someone off of their platform, to deplatform someone because they hold controversial or improper beliefs or opinions? Or is it, you know, are they completely in the right to do so because the freedom of speech doesn't apply to the private sector, etc.? And I see a raised hand. So what's up, Ellis? You're muted.
There we go.
There you
Okay,
go.
I'm unmuted, I think.
Yes.
One of the things that's happened is what I would call the crime of the century. And the crime of the century happened in 2016 during the presidential campaign. And what happened was Cambridge Analytica, which is owned by a father and daughter in Southern California with extremely conservative views, posed as somebody that had to do with Oxford University and allowed those researchers access to Facebook, but not just the access that any of us have, but massive information dumps. So they found out, for example, that people who are fans of the NASCAR are likely to be conservative and likely to vote for Trump. Cambridge Analytica took that information and gave it to the Russians. Cambridge Analytica, before it went out of business, on their website, and I looked at this, claimed that they had 4,000 data points for every voter in the United States. The fact that you were a NASCAR enthusiast was just one of those data points. And Paul Manafort, you may remember him from being Trump's campaign manager, delivered information to the Russians in a famous meeting that he had in Manhattan at a cigar bar. And that information was which precincts and which districts would have to flip in order for Trump to win the Electoral College. Paul Manafort put that together and gave it to Putin. Putin's got something called the GRU. One day there was an agent from the GRU that was interviewed by somebody, and he said, "What did you do today at the GRU?" And he said, "I opened up 10,000 Gmail accounts." And in opening those Gmail accounts, they were able to manipulate the social media so that Trump indeed won the Electoral College.
Have we lost Ellis's audio?
Yep.
I think,
I can't
yeah,
hear
he had some, Ellis, I don't know if you can hear us, but he had some network
My
issues.
back?
There
Yes,
you
you're
go.
back.
You're back.
You're back.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was Xfinity censoring me. But anyway, I put that directly in Zuckerberg's lap. But the fact is that social media can be a very dangerous thing. And if you can think of anything that's much more dangerous than Trump, aside from nuclear weapons, I don't see it. So we have to be careful about valuing social media, but basically the genie's out of the bottle. And as far as legal battles and interpretations of laws, depends on who makes the law. If Mitch McConnell is making the law, I'm not so sure that we're going to get a fair deal, and it could be happening. So that's kind of, I know you had the flip side of the coin, but the flip side of the coin is way dangerous. And be aware of that also, that social media is not necessarily our friends, and even people who friend you on social media may not exactly be your friends. Enough said.
Yeah, absolutely. You bring up a great point with Cambridge Analytica, and I'm glad that you did, Ellis. It's something that crossed my mind earlier today as well. So, like you said, I mean, it's a tool, right? And it's a really easily manipulatable tool, and it can very, very easily, and because of its sheer power and impact, it can very easily, like we saw, it can do something as large scale and devastating as like shake the foundation of our democracy, which I don't even think was a fathomable concept like when I was a kid, because technology, the thing is, the government and policy making, bureaucracy, basically, it works slowly. And there's reasons for that. But technology doesn't. It works very fast. Social media that's around today wasn't around that long ago. So it's changing real quick. And to your point, Ellis, like because it can turn into something so dangerous and something so powerful and not for good, we have to be proactive. We have to be aware of this, and we have to engage with our electeds, and with each other, and come up with proactive measures to make sure that this doesn't happen. I don't know too much about this, so I'm only gonna name drop for a second, but I know that there's a great member of Congress from the Bay Area, Congressman Ro Khanna, and to my knowledge, he's actually drafted basically a digital Bill of Rights, and it's a 21st century look at how the government should have, a relationship with technology and social media, etc. And if anyone knows more about it and can speak to it, that'd be great. I don't, so I won't. But it is something worth looking into, because we do need to put people we need to elect people who understand and are not turning a blind eye to the fact that social media and technology is powerful, and we're powerful too, so we can be proactive and take the necessary precautions to make sure it doesn't collapse our democracy the way we
ought to invite Ro to speak at the club about that subject. He's spoken at the club before.
That would be amazing. I think that would be great, and also very timely. And it's an election year, and it's an important election concept. So I think that'd be a really good idea.
Yes, Ellis, if you'd want to contact Ro and see that if he would want to join us for August or September, that would be wonderful.
He may even have a book on it, but it's important to, we have a lot of conversations about legislation as a country. And one of the newest conversations that we need to adopt is the conversation about technology and how are we going to handle it as a society, as a country, as a world, really, because every government is figuring out ways to handle it. And to build on Ellis's point, actually, there's been a lot of great coverage, and I can provide you guys with the links to these articles later, but there's been a lot of really interesting research and coverage on social media regulation and digital bills of rights, and how the government is contemplating handling these matters and issues in a proactive way that also does not infringe upon people's personal privacy, and liberations. And so that's the interesting constitutional argument that's probably going to be had and is being had. So, and that brings us to the last point, which is, okay, well, we know now about social media, and how do you use it? So voters, they interact with social media often. And so it's important that we do so mindfully. So if you do have social media and you are actively involved, be conscious of the fact that your social media is probably an echo chamber. And there are ways that you can combat that, or at least look at different perspectives, or just stick to good old reading a book to learn. Social media, again, it's a confirmation bias type of place. It's a very emotionally charged and stimulating place. So as long as we're conscious of that as social media users, and we spread that information in a mindful way to people who also use social media, you can be making an impact slowly, And also, there is good, trustworthy information online. There are good, trustworthy, nonpartisan, nonprofit news sources. For instance, there's ProPublica, things like that, and they're present on social media too. So you can do your part to amplify those messages. It's all about being conscious and mindful about your social media consumption, because it's one of those things that was tailored specifically for us not to be conscious and mindful. So we can actively fight that urge. And last but not least, cherry on top of this sundae, I will provide a quick update on this matter for our club. So Tri-Valley Dems is active on social media. We've got a Facebook, we've got an Instagram, and we post content. But most of our content tends to be meeting announcements and endorsement alerts, etc. And we've got an active Instagram page, and the digital comms team is all here on this call right now. And we always need help creating new content, or at least coming up with ideas. So if you're ever interested in helping out with the digital communications team, feel free to get in touch with me or Richard or Kashif on this call, and they'll get you in touch with the right person. But we got to start somewhere, and this is a great place to start with utilizing social media to the best of our ability. That concludes everything that I have prepared for you all regarding social media and politics, but I'm absolutely open to questions or comments.
Sarah, that was a wonderful presentation, a nice overview, and a lot of depth in certain areas. I think that we might have some questions from the membership, and I do have a couple of questions myself. So we raise hands, and if you can see the hand raises, why don't you go ahead and select the questions in the order that you prefer.
Sounds good. So I know Ellis has his hand raised, but I think that's probably still left over from, yeah, okay. I don't see any other hand raises at the moment. So, oh, Ron.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have the official little yellow guy. I can look for that on my screen.
No.
I was wondering how, in particular, you would define a echo chamber and the threat that represents, because that's an important thing you said that we need to stay away from. Is that just sort of an endless cycling with a few different people in which you get into talking about something and get kind of argumentative about?
Well, that's a good question. I'm actually glad that you are asking for more clarity on this matter, because I guess I didn't really define what that looks like. But imagine you put a message out into the world, the election was rigged. And then everyone around you, yeah, the election was rigged. They're echoing your statement, and they're confirming your hypothesis, which is untrue. And so suddenly you're surrounded by a really supportive community of people that stand by the things that you say and believe, regardless of whether or not they're true, And even if there isn't an inherent truth to what you're saying, if it's a more ethical or moral conversation, let's say, there's still another side to the story, right? And chances are the people that you surround yourself by, the people that you're connected with on Facebook, all see slightly similar to the way that you see. And while it feels comfortable and it feels validating to be talking about these matters with people who agree with you, it's also concerning that you're not being challenged on your views and perceptions by people who you respect. And there's also this level of anonymity in social media, which I want to add, because you're behind a screen and because you have a picture that you can change at any point in time, and maybe your real name's not even displayed. you can get into some really dirty fights with people online who don't belong in your echo chamber. Like maybe someone slipped through the cracks and doesn't agree with you and they're not a part of your echo chamber. And so they raise a valid concern to your argument, or they, try to communicate the other side of the story. And that can turn into, you're no longer invited to family Thanksgivings and I'm cutting you out of my life and you're dead to me. That's been happening a lot recently. So echo chambers are dangerous because you're only reinforcing the beliefs that you have in your mind without presenting yourself with other possible ideas. And the opposite of echo chambers online are also dangerous because we're just like unfettered animals online sometimes, and we just don't mind. We don't hold back when it comes to like wishing ill upon people online. It's like bullying. So yeah, that's the danger of echo chambers and the opposite.
Yeah, that sounds good. One further question. If I wanted to post some information as a member of the TVDC, presenting the fact that I love this particular candidate and their position, which of the media would you recommend? And is there any particular format for certain media? Instagram, is that more graphically oriented, and is Facebook more word oriented? Maybe those are the two categories of graphics and just straight words that you might talk to, and which are the strengths, and where should we go to if we wanted to present our messages and try to influence people?
Good question. And now that I think about it, like every form of social media is so different in the way that information is communicated. And that's what makes them either successful or not. So I can maybe even just make like a one pager about the differences between the social media platforms to kind of be like a cheat sheet. But you hit the nail on the head, Ron. Facebook is definitely more words. Like it's like you have no word count limit. You can write and write and write. You can basically create a blog on Facebook, but you can also, it's also like image and video compatible. So Facebook is it's a very like jack of all trades in a sense, in terms of like what kind of information you amplify. Instagram is very much picture and video intensive. In fact, there is a place for captions, but there is a word limit and most people don't read through the whole thing anyway. And then there is TikTok, which is solely very short video clips. There's like pretty much no writing. The word limit is like so small, like you barely have any space to write anything in TikTok. And the video duration limit is also really short. Until recently, it was like 1 minute. So imagine trying to create meaningful content in a minute or less. Now they've extended that to, I think, 3 minutes, but still. And then lastly, Twitter. And I think the reason why Twitter is so popular for like celebrities and politicians is because it's like micro blogging, whatever. It's like a stream of consciousness platform. They're not necessarily like thought out, curated, like fact-checked, beautiful written works. It's like, this is, how I feel about this thing that I just saw, which is why it's so fun to be on Twitter during like presidential debates, because everybody's stream of consciousness is just active on Twitter. But to your point, I can make a single pager to communicate the differences. So yeah.
Okay, one more final question from me, and then I'll be quiet. The spread in terms of political parties, is there any particular leaning? Or is it more conservative on Facebook or more liberal, progressive, Instagram, etc.? Are there any particular strengths or weaknesses concerning the particular kinds of parties that people would be most often to be on Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah. So I don't know the numbers on that. So I'm not going to definitively say like Facebook is more, conservative or liberal. Jacob has some thoughts that he put in the chat. Thank you for that, Jacob. I will say like I've seen a lot of both, a lot of every, place on the political spectrum on social media. There are specifically like conservative social media platforms. For instance, there is one called Parler that became really popular at a certain point in time. And then Trump, was creating his own platform when he got deplatformed basically from Twitter. But, to a certain extent, though, it's like, I don't know, because my Facebook page is an echo chamber of liberal people. So I have a hard time answering that question. And I'm sure that a conservative person on Facebook would say the same thing. But there are probably stats on it, and we can look into that.
Okay.
Dan.
So the thing that's got me wondering, I'm thinking of that old adage about communication where 10% of communication is the words that are spoken. Another 20% or 30% is the tone the words are spoken in. But a large portion of communication is in body language and facial expressions and things like that. And that's how humans communicate.
Mhm.
And so it seems to me that social media is titled wrong. It should be called asocial media because it's the exact opposite of effective communication.
Mhm.
And the worshiping and focus on social media by young people, and I'm not, seems to insulate them from that capability, or at least there's an uneven dependency on that form of communication. And, and when I'm involved with like community activities, especially like school board hearings or city council hearings, you get people coming out and acting out as if they're on social media,
Yeah.
and they've lost all sense of civility. And, that's a problem in my mind. And I think the dependency on social media has created some of that incivility. So
Yeah.
that's the old codger in me saying boo on this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a really good point, and I don't think that the pandemic helped at all. I think on the one hand, there's people who, like you said, are like behaving inappropriately out in the real world as if they're on social media. There's also like people who are completely socially anxious in real life because they're so used to the anonymity of social media. So on a deeper, I guess, not just politically, but overall, there's a lot of concerns about how social media is impacting young people today. And there's a great docudrama on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, and it's about exactly that. It's potentially really like emotionally and psychologically hurting a lot of people, which is why it's really important to be mindful about social media, because there's like almost 5 billion people on it. We have to really have good conversations about it. But you're right, Van, it can be a bad place for a developing person. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, let's see. Jackie, do you have a question?
Yes, a couple comments. One, I've done some posting for Tri-Valley Dems, so I'm familiar with our site. And when we post, we're often offered to be able to do an ad and reach more people, $10, and we can reach a bunch of people. I'm wondering if we should, as a club, try this out as an experiment, maybe with some outreach for new members to try to get to people that aren't in our echo chamber, but outside, because it has algorithms. It's going to find Democrats for us. And I'd like to see that done at least once to try it out. I mean, I thought about whipping out my wallet and doing it one time just to see what happens. I'd like to see that. And then 2, I think we need to get a new Twitter account. I know we've tried to resurrect the one we have. We haven't had any luck. I'll be willing to set up a new Twitter account for us and get that going if it's something that you think is worth it, because I use Twitter a lot too. And by the way, my handle is Dump Trump, resistant Dump Trump. So follow me on Twitter.
Don't mind if I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would love to experiment with that as a club. I've never run ads on social media before, but I know people who have. So if we ever need help from someone about what it means to run an ad on Facebook or Instagram, I have people that we can ask. Thank you, Jackie. Okay, Seema, what's up?
Yeah. one question I had was, my generation, I noticed most everybody is on like Facebook and Instagram, but not so much TikTok. And, what are the most relevant to like the younger generations if you're trying to target, like, should you be on TikTok, and like, what feedback would you have on that?
Good question. So I'm like also kind of, I relate to what you said, and I'm like trying to understand, like, is it worth, communicating your messages on TikTok? Is it going to reach the demographic that you're looking for? And I think just from experience, I don't have numbers from you, but I think that if you're trying to target a younger demographic, Instagram continues to be a very solid community of people. And it's a little bit easier to like control your reach on Instagram, because I feel like with TikTok, that platform has a really strong ability to just like suppress your videos, and then just no one ever sees them. Or you could get really viral for like a couple weeks and gain like 5 million likes on a video, and then just like never have it happen again. So I think TikTok, it's a good place for young people. I think it definitely has attracted a younger crowd, but I think more importantly, it's a good place to go viral. So if you want to like have a stable, consistent message and audience, I actually think still that Instagram is a really good place to do that. And I've noticed that everyone who has a TikTok seems to still have Instagrams too. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. Robin, do you have a question?
Hi, actually, I have a comment. First off, I thought that your presentation was outstanding.
Thank you so much.
And I organize the ISC Squared East Bay community. We reach a lot of, about 600 people a month. We reach a lot of people here in the East Bay based on a common interest in cybersecurity. And if it's okay with you, I'd like you to notice that I gave you my Twitter handle, because I would love to bring you out and have you speaking to that audience, because, and this brings me back to the social media thing. One of the ways that I find is critical for influence is to focus on shared common values and professional interests and ideas. And then from there, be absolutely ready to explain how our candidates in the Democratic Party meet the needs of whomever you're speaking to.
Absolutely.
And although we've come across one person out of the 600 who was sympathetic to the Proud Boys, like the good people on both sides shenanigans. What we've found in this community is even the people who are in it who were initially Republican voters, when we focus on social policy and the politics of cybersecurity, this is a community that is squarely behind Kamala Harris, always was, squarely behind everybody on the Intel Committee and everyone that is part of our national cyber defense.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you find that there are some Republicans, of course, there's a lot of Republicans who are in cybersecurity. What we have found is those are not, those are more likely to be your never Trumpers, the people who are being called out as rhinos.
Wow.
Now, the reason I shared my Twitter handle is I've been cultivating these blended groups for a really long time. I have 3,500 people in Twitter. I have about 3,000 in Facebook, and I have 7,000 or 8,000 in LinkedIn. And my followings are distinctly Democrats. They are central, centrist, Biden-Harris for the most part. But it was critically important to me that my friends who are Republicans would not be expelled, would not be so infuriated and insulted that I wouldn't have a few. And then the bigger issue for me was to integrate my friends who are progressives. And there, there's a lot of really nasty, just completely unacceptable stuff that is said within ourselves. between parties, people who are nasty to Kamala Harris supporters. And I have spent thousands of hours supporting Kamala Harris. So people who are nasty to the quote unquote K-Hive, people who are Nina Turner haters, people who went after John Fetterman, accusing him of being a racist. And what I want to say about those things is, if you follow me, you'll find that there's this group that I lead called Security Warriors. And we will take people aside and we will ask them to cool it, to stop, to understand that you can't just release a theory that John Fetterman is a racist and then not damage the party. It's not true. It's hurting Black voters who may never get a chance to meet this candidate that, well, actually they should already know him. If they're in Pennsylvania, they should already know him. But do you see what I'm saying is, I just wanted to share that with you because I was in an admin role for over 80 groups in Facebook. And I determined at a certain point that Facebook was a losing proposition for social democracy. And, you know, I maintained my friendships, but I stepped out. And now I focus on Twitter, maintaining, you know, I think we did during the last year, and Linda, you might have been aware of this at the time. I think we did about 1,500 reports a week to Twitter about fake accounts, people who were being racially targeted and so forth. And so I just wanted to let you guys know about that because you're welcome to follow me. And what you'll notice is everybody that's in my my group is 100% vetted. So if I have allowed them to follow me, I know other people who follow them. I have a very good basis to say this person's got history with the party. I probably know them or people who know them in a professional capacity outside of Twitter. And anything that the TV Dems want, the Tri-Valley Dems want me to push, I will push.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Robin, for sharing and for your support and kind words. I just followed you on Twitter, actually. So yeah,
I'll follow you right back.
awesome.
But
Thank you.
mostly what I want you to know is you can safely follow the people I follow.
Great.
And
That's awesome.
it's going to give you a broad array. Now, some of the people, like they have very hardline progressive views and they will get into a fight. But what I will do is, and so will about 20 people in the Security Warriors, is we will do our best to pull people aside and say, hey, enough's enough.
Right.
You know, we're not helping the party when we can't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
This is
Approaching-
wonderful, Robin. Thank you so much for not only giving us some detailed information about Security Warriors and the roles that you play, but also offering to present information to your well vetted group that the TVDC feels is important for dissemination. So thanks much. Do we have
you're welcome.
Linda,
Yeah.
and Ellis and Jacob left?
Linda, I just want to apologize. Your hand like blended so well into your wall, so I didn't see it for the longest time. So
Good.
sorry.
Okay, I'm not sure how to take it down, but yeah, I've been patiently waiting. I put something in chat, but I don't know if everybody saw it. I have some I would like to share with the group, both as an informational warning purposes, and also if anybody has any advice for me, because I have been on Facebook since 2007. I was originally invited by my niece, and it was a way to keep in contact with my family, immediate and extended family, since I no longer had my mother as the social glue of my life. And since then, I've branched out into politics. One thing that I did do, which is helpful if you have to keep conservative people in your life, is that I kept my main page as my personal page, and then I had a sub page as a political page. But what I wanted to bring up, is that despite the fact that I have been a Facebook member for 15 years, okay, I've gotten an occasional 30-day timeout in Facebook jail for posting something stupid that their bots misinterpreted. but I do regularly interact with Trumpers and go outside my social circle. At one point back in the fall, I was seeking them out in Newsmax articles. Now I find them trolling liberal groups. However, the danger, which is what I think Ellis was trying to point out, is that they can go after you for political retribution. And this just happened to me. I'm fairly positive, I cannot prove it, but 2 weeks ago, I was suspended, banned from Facebook after 15 years. My account was taken down, and I think that it was done by political retribution. I think that a Trumpster falsely reported me maliciously as a gun dealer, and now my account is banned. They are supposedly reviewing my account. I don't know what more I can do. This just happened on June 30th, so I'm hoping that within 30 days I will know something. But I've lost access to my personal photos and videos. So what I want to put out there.
That is awful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to hear about that. And we hope things work out. Keep us posted and let us know if we can help you somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if anybody with technology knows ways that I can get through to Facebook to appeal my case, I mean, I've emailed them and heard nothing back, or there's supposed to be an oversight board, but just know that if you're interacting with the other side, that they will do malicious things like that. It's not just posting Trump trolling comments.
Have you tried contacting Facebook's corporate office directly, picking up the phone and calling them?
We did try. There's a number posted online, and they just say we have no phone support. So, yeah.
Okay, we have Jacob up next and then Ellis.
Just real quick, Linda, I'll private chat you my email and then we can connect and see if there's some way that I can help you.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Of course. yeah, I'm
Linda,
really
you're
sorry
welcome
that
to reach out to me as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you for sharing, Linda. All right, Jacob. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I had more of a comment than a question. I think so. Sarah mentioned that there's like 5 billion online users. Pretty much. I think that's accurate. So I just wanted to say, like, that's a huge population, and I think like the role of government is more to work on top of online media versus like within it. And like, you know, so like the minute you make an account that's a Democrat's account, that's a really polarizing topic. So right off the bat, you're gonna, you know, cut your viewership at least like in half. And then that's assuming that like 50% of people want to be involved in political topics. So like just by like having a polarizing handle or topic, it's already going to cut your viewership and your content in half. So I think just like government as a whole on like a bipartisan level should operate like more on top of social media versus trying to like become popular within. Am I getting cut off?
Nope, you're coming
No.
through.
Okay,
This is
all right.
great.
Yeah, so I think like government as a whole needs to like kind of more I guess like facilitate people's ability to express themselves within social media, but to try and build an account or something, that's more of an individual's pursuit versus I think the role of government.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And like we're seeing, like every entity has a social media presence now, like the White House, you know, every organization you can imagine, every department, every federally funded department. And like, maybe that's not the way, you know? So that's a really interesting point, Jacob. And interested to see how you're, you know, what you're working on is gonna maybe improve that. Ellis.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jacob, did you have something else that you wanted to add?
Oh no, I was gonna say, I mean, by all means, go for it. But I don't think there's any real special formula other than if you do want to highlight yourself or your views, it would just be lots of content with good production.
Yeah.
The crowd will find you. If you're posting a homemade video that looks like this video quality,
Hmm.
It's not the same as that 15-year-old kid who spent, 6 months putting together his mixtape and got 1 billion views.
Totally.
So yeah, it's not like a hard equation. I think it's just production quality and amount of content released.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you, Jacob, for sharing. Ellis.
Um, First off, a little bit of advice for Linda. George Lakoff points out that when you're opposed to somebody else and you argue with them, you harden your position and you harden their position. So as far as you dealing with, I think you said one of your kids or a close family, stop arguing with them. I have an aunt who decided that she was going to back Trump, and I just don't bring it up with her. Talk about other things. The main thing I wanted to mention was something that Jackie was saying, that she sees the possibility of advertising the Tri-Valley Dems on Facebook. And what I'd like to propose is that we give Jackie $100 to use at her discretion on Facebook, and Jackie wait until we have, let me call it a big name speaker. Ro Kahana, as we mentioned possibly earlier, or Eric, or Rebecca Bauer-Cahan promised me she'd come and speak to us later on in the year when she's not on vacation. And what we'd be able to do is specify on Facebook that we want to advertise to people on Facebook who are in those particular districts. So they should be able to pretty easily filter them out. Or in the case of Eric, we might say in the Tri-Valley area. And we'll get more viewers that way. So I propose we spend $100 doing that. And the other thing is, I just found out before this meeting, my daughter called me up and told me my Facebook page was hacked. So don't believe any plea for money from Ellis on Facebook.
Oh, no.
I straightened that out. But that happened just before the meeting, like at 5 o'clock.
Whoa.
So I haven't had time to try to sort that out. But I hope I have better luck than Linda. Anyway, Jackie, can I get a second on that since it was your idea?
Well, let's wait a little bit till this presentation is over. And I think it's a good idea. Let's go ahead and vote on that afterwards, an allocation that might be for both individual presentations about upcoming or past speakers, but also Jackie's idea that we go ahead and use this as a medium to get more members. So that we can do immediately before we have any speakers. So that's a good idea. Thanks to Jackie and Ellis for promoting that. And a little later on in this meeting, let's go ahead and vote on that. Okay, do we have any more people for Sarah on the issues and questions concerning social media?
I see 2 more hands raised. Should we go Joy and then Robin?
Hi. So Trump supporters are inundated with videos of Biden appearing to be incompetent. How do you address doctored videos?
That's a good question. And I think that speaks to a bigger issue on social media, which is like the power to take things out of context. Does anyone else have any thoughts or ideas about this that they'd like to say?
The only thing I would do if I saw something like that is flag it. Members do have the ability to flag content. At least that puts it in front of Facebook or Twitter, whoever, and get that out there. Don't be idle. Don't ignore it. Flag it.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful idea. Okay,
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you for your question, Joy. That's an
One
interesting.
other thing is that people can tune in to Ro Kahana and the websites and follow up on what Sarah has told us, is that he's trying to get something going for legislation to be able to see some government oversight, which would force, well, one of the aspects of this is that it would force reviews of blatantly doctored videos and presentations, and hopefully that those would be deleted. So we do have, what, Robin wants to speak again?
Is that a go ahead?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to make some offers to people here. Anybody who has a group of people who wants to learn how to use Twitter, how to periodically back up your Twitter content, and how to do reporting. I'll give you a half hour a month, any group, anytime, anywhere, any age. So that's one thing. And I've never in my lifetime pursued anybody for money. When I make an offer, it's because I am making an offer. So I just will say that at the outset. Please don't be concerned that there's some bait and switch going on. I just enjoy teaching people how to be socially democratic.
Robin, that's a wonderful offer, and I'm going to present an opportunity to you here. At our next meeting, which is in August, I would like to allocate 15 minutes to you. Can you get something done in 15 minutes? Maybe even just get us started and then people work from there?
Absolutely, I can. I absolutely can. Why don't you allocate me at the last 20 minutes so that people who don't find that to be a great use of their time don't feel obligated to hang in. And then
Sure.
if there are people who really want to continue, it won't override the meeting.
Okay, well, let's start with 15 minutes next month, and we're going to put you on the agenda. So thank you so much.
So that's why I was saying
very
10
helpful.
minutes from the end. That way you can cut me off and close the meeting. And if you are so inclined that people want to continue, then I can offer a link to my Teams meeting and continue from there. That's why I said 20 minutes before the end.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Sarah, I think we need to wrap this up at this point,
Okay.
and we want to say a big thank you for a wonderful presentation that has generated an awful lot of interest. And not only was it well done, but it was motivating. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, of
Good.
course. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thanks for making this a really stimulating, inclusive conversation. I think like this is such a thing that's been taken for granted all these years, and it's clear that we just need a place and a time to talk about it. So thank you all for having me, and this was a great convo.
Good, good. And we'd like to move on now to our update on local candidates. And first off, I'd like to say that we are very lucky and honored to have two of our own members and parts of the board of TVDC that are running for important positions this cycle. And we would like to give them both an opportunity to say something to us in terms of the status of their candidacy. Have they filed yet? What kind of staff they have, what kind of help they might want, what kind of issues they might be promoting. And first, we want to bring in our glorious past president, if he's here and ready. Evan, thank you. The floor is yours. Evan, are you there? Okay. We're not getting from Evan now, so let's go ahead and have Sarah talk about her campaign. She's our second person who is actually running. And if you could give us an update then.
Absolutely. Evan, I noticed you unmuted. Are you? Okay, sounds good. Hi, everyone. It's been a really long time since we've all chatted. So my name is Sarah, and I am running for San Ramon City Council this year. And we've been campaigning, we've been picking up the pace of our campaign since April, but I'm officially pulling papers on Wednesday, which means I'll be filing with the city to officially be a candidate. I've grown, thank you guys, thank you so much. It's all, you know, I've talked to so many of you individually for advice and support, so thank you guys. I have been growing the most incredible volunteer grassroots team over the last couple months. So I am humbled to have like an organization chart of people helping me with my campaign. I have, you know, a campaign manager and a lead of field operations and volunteer operations. And I have people working on graphics and t-shirts and business cards, etc. And it's really turning into something amazing. And I'm so excited for what this campaign holds in the future. I'm running for District 2, and a couple of my priorities are, first and foremost, climate action. We have a lot of potential here in San Ramon and the Tri-Valley to advance climate action, but as it stands, unfortunately, our climate action plan is collecting dust, and we don't have conversations about it at the city council level ever, unfortunately. So we're changing that. Also, on the note of technology, I actually want to incorporate technology and civic engagement into my campaign priorities, and utilizing our city website as well as other forms of technology and media to reach the most residents possible, to make all of our future developments in San Ramon as like public and democratic as possible, as well as other local democracy issues and conscious growth and development. You know, we have a lot of development, housing, retail coming and going. And it's important that as a city council member, we ensure that San Ramon stays the safe, clean, diverse, affluent, beautiful community that it is, as the housing comes, as the retail comes, as Chevron goes, etc. So that's what I'm working on in my campaign. I will drop my website in the chat. I'm always looking for, people to support my campaign as volunteers, people to support my campaign in other ways, and to just give me feedback, as we pick up the pace on this campaign and I start to talk and interface with more people. Feedback is important to me. So I'll drop my website in the chat. Thank you all so much.
Very good. That's wonderful. Is Evan back with us now?
Yep, I'm here.
Though, very good. Evan, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, before I take the floor, first of all, I want to thank all of you, but I want to particularly call out Sarah and thank her for running. She's been great supporting the club behind the scenes. And while she didn't say it, I would remind all of you that one of the things that candidates need very badly is they do need money to be able to afford all of the things that they need to buy, the flyers, so that when people walk, that they're actually able to pay for them, mailers and all of that. So I strongly, strongly encourage you, especially if you're in San Ramon, but even if you're not in San Ramon, donate to Sarah. Help her campaign grow and expand, and help her become a winning candidate. And then if you have anything left over, you can donate to me, but get the money flowing to Sarah.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you for saying that. And to all of you guys in this room, Evan has been an amazing mentor to me these past couple months. So thank you for your support and guidance, Evan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So you all know me here, so I'm not going to spend too long, but I've been really involved in the community in Livermore for quite a while now. I serve on multiple boards. I'm a planning commissioner. I'm on the LARPD Foundation. Used to be on several other commissions. And really, I'm running because things have been rough for a while now. It's a really hard time to make ends meet. A lot of people talk about it, but I don't think people are aware of how difficult it actually is to find a way into the middle class if you're not already there, or to stay there if you are. It's a challenging time. And as a city council representative, I can't come in and fix housing prices or completely end homelessness. But what I really am here to do is to offer my expertise, my perspective, all of my experiences, and try to really push the dial in the right direction. I want to make life better and easier for the residents of Livermore. I hope that spills over. Given the club I'm at, I don't know if people are aware, but about a little over actually 50% of the population of Livermore going to a winery on the weekend would be a major expense. It would be something they would have to really think about and budget for. So we live here in wine country. We're, reaping the benefits of an industry, of tourism to have the great restaurants, to have great attractions and all of that in our city. But it's almost impossible for half of our population, actually a little more than half of our population, to enjoy our restaurants, to enjoy our wineries, to enjoy the amenities that Livermore has to offer. And so, as I said, I'm running to try to do my best to push the dial a little bit, to make it a little easier to enjoy Livermore, to continue building on the great things that Livermore already has to offer, and just making it more accessible to everyone in our city, making the quality of life just a little bit better. It is great out here. We can keep growing and expanding and making life happier and healthier for everyone. I'll also put my website up in the chat. I think all of you have my phone number or at least my email. So please feel free to reach out. If you can donate, like I said, donate to Sarah first. If you have extra, donate to me. Campaigns, unfortunately, do run on money. So we need your donations. We need volunteers. We need help. We're going to be knocking doors. Both of us are running very grassroots campaigns. And so we need that help with getting, volunteers out, getting those organizations. If you have special skills, please sign up for one of our campaigns or both of them and help us out. We're hoping to be able to just help our constituents, help our cities, and help the region continue to be just such a great place to live. So, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the update on your very important candidacy. We are behind you. We know that you will likely want to come to us, most likely either in August or September meeting for an endorsement. Since most of the filing windows opened today for most of the local candidacies, we know that people want to be able to come to a forum of a presentation for the Democratic candidates. And so as with Sarah, the same with you is that, you are invited to our forum where you may be the only Democrat and you may be the only one coming to a presentation. But as you so well done over the last couple of years for us in your presidency, you set up these forums and a format, a template that we can use. So we want you to be able to take as much advantage of it, and hopefully that you'll be able to do that either August or September, whatever is appropriate for you. Okay, good.
Ron?
Now I also understand that Kashif Kadri, and I don't have the pronunciation, so is with us today, and he also is a candidate. So what we found in chat just a few minutes ago, I'd like to open the floor up to him, and if you wanted to make a presentation for about 5 minutes, telling us who you are, some of your priorities, and the office that you're running for, and the campaign and structure that you have existing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Honored to be here again. My name is Kashif Kadri. I'm a Dublin resident. I have been in the Bay Area for about 17 years and Dublin for about 5. I currently serve on the Dublin Planning Commission. I served alongside Evan on the Alameda County Public Health Commission for District 1. I'm also on the Dublin Unified School District Citizen Bond Oversight Committee and my son's school site council. So try to stay involved in the community, stay connected. I also have been working with Sarah over the last couple months on the communications group within Tri-Valley Dems, and it's been a pleasure working with her. In terms of priorities or a little bit of background, I'm a scientist by training and work for a local biotech company. My campaign is focused around 3 things. One is affordable housing and inclusive housing. Everyone knows how expensive it is to live here in the Bay Area, and Dublin in particular. I really want to push for more inclusive housing, make sure that our teachers and first responders and seniors and disabled folks all have a place to take advantage of all the great things that are here in Dublin. Priority number 2 is around small business support. They're just a very critical part of our fabric, part of our community. They're absolutely integral to just having a really pleasant environment, and especially in the context of COVID, they've been struggling. There's a lot that a city can do to incentivize them to come, motivate them to stay, all sorts of grants and programs, and just facilitating tax relief and things like that. We on the planning commission just recently voted on extending the outdoor seating. I think it's really important that we do those things to just make it easier for these small businesses to survive. And then as a scientist, my number 3 priority is around environmental sustainability. We've seen rapid growth in Dublin. We've taken up a lot of our wetlands, which are irreplaceable. My focus is going to be around mixed in development and redevelopment, as opposed to plowing over more open space and greenlands. So priorities, again, are inclusive housing, small business support, and environmental sustainability. Much like my colleagues, Evan and Sarah, who are running wonderful campaigns, I am focused on a grassroots campaign, trying to get as much community involvement as possible on the door knocking and the text banking and the phone calls. I ran 2 years ago, ran a pretty good campaign, did not make it into the top 2 this time around. I hopefully will have a lot more support from the community and the Tri-Valley Dems in particular. As Evan and Sarah both mentioned, these campaigns are expensive. Every dollar counts, every dollar is important. Just getting that support. And if you, in addition to supporting the candidates monetarily, if you can donate some time, that goes a really long way in terms of phone banking, texting, and door knocking. So anything you can offer. I pulled papers this morning. There are 2 seats available, 1 incumbent, 1 open seat. I'm going for the open seat. So far, no one else has pulled papers, and looking to file my paperwork in the next week or so, depending on availability with the city clerk. But thank you all, and I will drop my website into the chat below. Thank you all.
Very good. Now I have two questions. One, are you a registered Democrat?
I am lifelong Democrat, been a Democrat since the mid-90s.
Do you consider yourself a progressive?
I do, yes.
Very good. And then second, could you repeat for us the seat that you're running for?
So I'm running for city council. It's an at-large seat in the Dublin City Council.
Wonderful. Okay, very good. So we want to, given the fact that you've just passed the screening here, our Insta screen, we would like to offer you the opportunity to come and speak to us and request our endorsement. Come up for a vote from the club, and we will see whether that's we're going to check on the filing dates, but as soon as the filing date is closed, the filing window is open, and I think it's about a month. Do you know specifically for your seat? It closes before April 16th? I mean, before August 16th?
It is going to officially close on the 15th. So it's the 12th, unless there's an incumbent who does not file. And I would be quite surprised if the incumbent did not, if the second incumbent files. But so then that gets pushed out to August 17th.
Okay. So the likelihood is that you can come to us on the August meeting, or at least on the September meeting, to ask for an endorsement, at which point we would give you 15 minutes to present. Again, a short bio, your priorities, talk about what you would need from the club or would want from the club in terms of support. Well, thanks very much, and wonderful first presentation. So we hope to hear from you again shortly.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So that's our candidates. Do we have any other candidates that are signed on to the meeting here? I think not. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's hear from Ellis on a new style of phone banking. Ellis, can you give us 5 to 10 minutes on your discovery of this particular style?
Well, sure can.
Good.
There's a gal named Cecilia Manglier. I know I'm butchering her last name. She's with the San Ramon Dems, and she's also with the Contra Costa Democratic Party Central Committee. And she told me that there's an organization of Bay Area groups that sponsor phone banks. And what they do is they have a Zoom meeting, and at the Zoom meeting, they may have a large number of people who are interested in phone banking at that particular time, and they break into smaller groups of maybe a half a dozen to 10 people. And that group has a group leader or a trainer who teaches them what the pitch is for the candidate that they're going to pitch. Now, they're pitching candidates in California, particularly for Congress, and outside of California, even for Senate and Congress. And what they do is they all sit on the Zoom meeting, muted, with their cell phone in their hand, and they call up the voters that they have through downloading. I believe she told me they use PDI. So you would just press a couple of buttons on your cell phone and you'd be in touch with a voter and you do the pitch. At the end of the hour or 2 hours or however long they decide to have this Zoom meeting phone bank, everybody gets together and they do what I think is called decompression. That is, you talk about the people that you did reach and what kind of responses you have. This is very much similar to a live phone bank, which we've had at the IBEW for many years and other places, where you phone bank for a while and then you come back and you decompress and you tell everybody what your experiences were. I'm going to do a share screen. Let's see. Could somebody let me into share screen? Jackie or Ron, can you enable my share screen?
Maybe Sarah.
Sarah, can you enable my share screen?
I think you have to be made a host.
So the host, Jackie, has to make you co-host, I think.
Yeah, Jackie, are you there?
Jackie was going to leave for a while.
Oh,
No.
okay then.
Okay, I'm going to just tell you what it is. There's the Democratic Party of Contra Costa County website, and there's a volunteer button. And on the volunteer button, if you press that, it goes to the webpage that I was going to show you. And what I can do is I can get out a full screen here, and I'm going to grab the
Ellis, I can screen share and just do it if you want to walk me through it.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a website in a second.
Okay.
Okay,
Ellis,
let me put it in the chat.
Oh, it's not it.
Oh, is it on there?
It
That was
was.
good.
Okay, it says it's been disabled.
Do share screen again.
Hey, Jackie, can you make him co-host?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I stepped away for a minute.
No
Not a
worries.
problem.
Okay, to the share screen. Okay, now,
You should be able to screen
what do
share.
you choose? What do you want? Application. Oh, here it is. Okay, share. There we go. Okay, you
There it is.
see the web address, and I copied that. I'll put that in chat. But at the top of the page, it says, Keep It Blue Phone Bank. And CA Dems is, of course, the state party. So the state party is really behind this. And what they have is various times for the Bay Area Coalition, that they do it every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and Saturday from 10 to 12. And you can get in on one of these phone banks by signing into this page, and you can do that. But at the bottom of the page, they have other stuff, and I'll go down to that, and you can see that there's a door-to-door campaign, and it says Danville. That's because Cecilia lives in Danville, and they have people driving out to the Central Valley and going door-to-door registering people. Okay, and let me see. And here's the postcards page, and you can write postcards, you can text message. They have all of these things available on the page. And I'll put that link in chat. One of the things that's kind of unique about the Tri-Valley Democratic Club is that in our bylaws, the first thing we have is the purpose of the club. And the purpose of this club is to give our members opportunities to have a political impact. And that means helping the club members who are running for office, and we saw 3 of them just now, and I would suggest that you get involved in their campaigns if you're interested in getting into a local campaign. And there's a 4th one, and he isn't here tonight, but it's Sean Kumagai. And Sean Kumagai, as you probably know, is running for the assembly, and he is also a local campaign. His district includes most of, I think, Dublin and parts of Pleasanton, aside from points west of the Tri-Valley. And he needs help also. So the gist of this is that there's a place for you to have a political impact, whether your inclination is to work on a local campaign where maybe you even know the local candidate, or work on something that's going to help us nationally. And you know the importance of us keeping a majority in the House and possibly even gaining majority in the Senate. It's crucial to saving democracy. I've been involved in a lot of campaigns over the years since 2004, and it seems I always say the same words. This is the most important election we've ever had. But the real fact is that democracy is in jeopardy, and you have an opportunity to have an impact on that, and tell your friends about it also. So I'm not sure how I get back to the share screen part. Okay.
Go
Good.
ahead
Well, I
and
think
stop sharing and then do another share screen to reselect a different app.
Okay, I'm not sure how to do this.
So we need to move on. So thank you much for your information here on the blue and the new style of phone banking. And up next is Alan with our treasurer's report. So Alan, can you, let's see. Alan maybe temporarily kind of zoned out a little bit here. So let's go ahead and have Jackie give us the Central Committee update.
Okay, we didn't have a meeting this month. The picnic is occurring on the 30th. I've sent that out to all membership and our newsletter. And if people want that link again, I could repost it here. The picnic is happening in Hayward on July 30th. And Ron's band, Ron, are you guys still playing?
We're on, absolutely.
Yay. So Dawn and I bought our tickets, so we're coming. So I encourage people to come meet some other Democrats. There's going to be tabling and speakers and music and games. It's going to be fun. Let's see. something to think about, just Ron, we may have an option. There may be new people as far as if Sean decides to step down, or he mentioned that there's going to be a caucus with AD 16. And I don't know if it's his associate, but there may be a seat open as an associate. So somebody in AD 16 is stepping down and they're going to caucus soon.
Can I interrupt for just a second? I think we have people with open mics that might want to mute.
Yeah, I'll
Did we hear
take care
that?
of it.
There we go.
There you
Good.
go. And then the Unity Dinner, and this is a big fundraising event, is going to occur in September 24th from 6 to 9 at the Airport Hilton. More
Good.
information to come on that. So I'll be sending that out to all membership as well. And some of the other stuff, that's it. And
Oh,
I
good.
did post the minutes for our last meeting. I'll go
Okay,
ahead and post them again.
all right.
I know, Ron, you looked at them.
Yeah, I had a chance to review and 3 minor little spelling corrections.
Yeah, and then I found some grammars that I needed
Okay.
to correct.
Good.
So let me go ahead and send it here.
Okay, and then we'll give people a few minutes to read over these. And then we'll have a vote to accept or not accept.
So I'll go ahead and wait for that vote till the end of the meeting, and I'll hand it back over to you in the meantime. Thanks, Ron.
Okay, very good. Now, we have another opportunity for our standing committee chairs to go ahead and give us an update on what's important issues in their area of expertise. And with us today, we have our wonderful environmental committee chair, Van Rainey. Van, are you ready to give us the good word?
Yeah, let me start out talking about pieces of legislation, in the Assembly and the Senate. They've been going over legislation for the last month, and it'll continue on into August a little bit. But basically the bills that are being looked at in the Assembly are those that are Senate bills, originated Senate bills, and those that are being looked at in the Senate are those that originated in the Assembly. And so when I mention bills, Assembly bill or Senate bill, recognize that they're actually in the opposite chamber being considered. And for the most part, all of these bills are in late stages before the floor vote, that they're going before the Appropriations Committee as a rule to finalize their approval before they're sent to the floor. So now is the time to talk to your individual representatives, Glazer in the Senate and Bauer-Cahan in the Assembly. So first up, there's Assembly Bill 2649, which is the Natural Carbon Sequestration and Resilience Act. And what this does, it provides technical assistance and additional forms of support to farmers, ranchers, and other land managers, and allocates 50% of any state expenditures to support natural carbon sequestration. This is a thing that many ranchers, I think when they're introduced to it, will be an effort to provide them with income and enable them to provide more sustainable ranching and farming techniques. Senate Bill 833 Dodd is the Community Energy Resilience Act, and this calls for technical assistance and grant programs to be administered by the California Energy Commission to help communities develop sustainable energy resilience actions like solar and battery storage, so that cities can basically avoid brownouts and blackouts. And then AB 1939 is a bill that requires science classes for grades 7 through 12 to include coursework on the causes and effects of climate change and methods to mitigate and adapt to climate change. And this bill, if it passes, would have that curriculum injected into the school year no later than the 23-24 school year. And then AB 2076 would establish the Extreme Heat and Community Resilience Program to be administered through the Integrated Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Program, ICARP. It basically enables the establishment and the funding for like centers for helping people that don't have air conditioning. So, basically retreats that they can use in school districts and whatever to cool down, cooling centers and the like. And then AB 260 Wiener is the Climate Corporate Accountability Act, and that bill would require the Air Resources Board to develop regulations requiring publicly traded corporations doing business in the state with an excess of revenues of $1 billion to stipulate how much greenhouse gases they're developing as a result of their corporate operations. So that's the Assembly bills and Senate bills that are up for consideration, and I encourage anyone to look those up and call your individual representatives to encourage them to support them.
So from your perspective, which of these do you support? All of them or any
Yes.
particular ones?
All of these bills I think are important to support. There are other bills that I couldn't get down, like the single-use plastics ban.
Okay.
The name of that bill, but that's another bill that's worthwhile supporting as well. So what else is happening in the community is that the Livermore Climate Action Plan is going to be announced in September, possibly in October. But part of that program involves a website where you can basically sign up and earn points for doing things that improve on the environment and help combat climate change. And with that tool, Citizens Climate Lobby and Education and possibly some other groups are going to be going to school PTAs and school administrators and encouraging them to form like clubs or groups within schools to help them, be one of these green teams that would earn points from the website and, basically raise awareness through the school activities about how to combat climate change. And then the Tri-Valley Air Quality Community Alliance has started a program where they're distributing box fans. And what these do is filter out particulate matter. So when there's high particulate matter episodes like after fires and the like, that people typically that are less advantaged can have these box fans because they don't have air conditioning to help basically filter out any particulate matter in their dwellings. And then there continues to be an effort by the CPUC to raise tax or charge by IOUs, independent operator utilities, on residential rooftop solar. And basically what Igor Trigub calls it the tax on solar. And it's basically a fee that is being required to have solar, rooftop solar owners connect to the grid. And this continues to be a battle that's being fought by the CPUC. And if you need to find out more about it, you can reach Igor at iTregub, ITREGUB @gmail.com.
If I can interrupt for just a second, that's a highly important battle that's going on. And do you foresee anything in terms of a final outcome, whether PG&E is going to be able to tax the hell out of us when we try to go green?
Well, it's kind of like whack-a-mole. I mean, we've been fighting this for over a year now, and every time the investor-owned utilities the issue, we smack it on the head, and then a couple months later, it pops up again. We smack it on the head, and it gets defeated. And so this battle remains consistent until somebody passes a law saying, "Stop it, utilities! You can't do this." But that would take legislative action, and the legislature is kind of tied up in that regard because of the donations by the investor-owned utilities. So we do battle at the CPUC, and we continue to be fairly effective at defeating the consistent efforts by the investor-owned utilities.
Wonderful. Is there any way that the members can provide some support to the CPUC or somehow chip in and say that, this is an important issue and we want to give our support?
When there's actions before the CPUC, Igor is probably the best source. He keeps me informed. But right now there's individual campaigns throughout the state showing up at utility offices and the like and protesting outside utility offices, telling them to stop this sort of thing. This is during a hiatus when the CPUC is not dealing with this particular issue. And so when it does come up that there is a CPUC hearing like they did a couple of months ago, you can count on the solar industry showing up, and we would encourage anybody else in the Democratic Party to show up as well.
Can you keep us posted and
That's what I'm
tell
gonna
us so that we can put on our bulletins when that next meeting is, or in particular who we can target with emails to show our support? But this is just a very, very important measure for green.
Right. One other thing, 350 Contra Costa is holding meetings with Senator Glazer and Bauer Can, both on Thursday, the staffs. So I'll be bringing up some of these legislative issues. Plus, they've got their own choices of legislation that they're going to emphasize. And then mid-August, California Indivisible is going to be holding a lobby week with a number of issues ranging from social justice to protection of democracy and the environment. But that's their lobby week is going to be happening sometime mid-August. So that's
wonderful.
The end of my...
That was great. I really appreciate the detail and the professionalism in that. We look forward to further updates from you. Thank you, Van. Do we have any other committee chairs that would want to give us an update or an overview?
Hey, Ron, this is Samir.
Oh, Samir,
how are you?
good.
How are you, sir?
Doing good, man.
Good. So I wanted to, in regards to membership, I wanted to kind of just talk about it with the members here, where we have about 15 or so, 14 members. And, some of you have been around for a while. So with the campaign season now going on, you heard a few people who are running. I'm wondering, especially Sarah, as you've been trying to drive your campaign and you've been involved in communication from the beginning on. What I would like to really see if we could, I'm trying to put together like a small committee of 2 or 3 members that would like to help drive this membership further, especially with this campaign, bring more awareness and everything. So if you could help me put out something on social media around like, hey, we're looking for new members, looking for volunteers, and especially as you're building your campaigns, you, Emin, Kashif, anybody else, if people are interested in joining Tri-Valley, I would recommend that they definitely become members as they're helping out with your campaigns. I think it brings more awareness. And the second thing is if I could get maybe 2 volunteers from this group, or people who are members who are not here, are interested in kind of brainstorming some ideas, that we could start to drive some more membership.
Okay, well, that sounds good. So we're going to take a vote later on in the meeting as to the allocation of some funds for specifically for a membership drive and to be used, and apparently spearheaded by Jackie, if she has the desire, and maybe Sarah and Richard to give us some input on the use of social media advertising for this. And so I think that is an important venue for us, an important way for us to increase membership. And if we can think of any other ones, that would be wonderful too. Okay, well, thank you for your report. Do we have any other committees here? Any other chairs? Okay. Let's see, we've got a few minutes left here.
Ron, Sharon's not here, but she's interested in hearing from the club about their feelings about having a live summer barbecue, perhaps in September, if that's the right time frame. And I'll pass it on to her. She's out of town right now and can't get to a computer.
Right, okay. Well, let's hear from the membership. I'm in favor of late August or mid-September, having another outdoor party for us, a summer picnic. Whether we need to wear masks or not, I'm not sure. But most likely we can get that on the weekend. We've had what, Saturdays or Sundays? I forget which is our typical. But typically, you know, starting at 12 and going till around 3 or 4. And it's been very helpful. We've had electors come and speak to us, and are great socializing, and some bad music from my band. I mean, good music from my band. Okay. So let's hear. Does anybody have any ideas? Are we ready to go maskless or masked for outdoor end of August or September?
I'm happy to.
Mary?
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be great. Livermore Indivisible combined with Swing Left and a couple of other groups, Mothers Against or Moms Demand Action. We all got together, I guess last week. No,
Yeah.
week
last
before
weekend.
last. Week before last, in Livermore, and we had a wonderful time. Great time. We didn't have the band, I mean, good band, but we had a good time. Van was there.
Okay, so
and,
you've already had an outdoor party, and did you use masks?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope, and everybody was pretty much okay with that, huh?
Yeah.
Right, and Swing Left, Tri Valley has had a small picnic. We actually two of them, and they were maskless. Well, no, a couple people wore masks, but most did not.
Okay. Oh, this is great. Any other input of what other people feel? Mary and Van are in
Indivisible
favor?
has been having the steering committee of Livermore Indivisible, and that's about, it varies, but 8 to 10 people at a meeting. We've been meeting in people's backyards for since the spring.
Okay. All right, so Indivisible and Swing Left, those are all outdoor successful events. Okay.
For
Right.
me,
All right.
end of August would be preferred over September.
Okay,
Ditto for me.
end
The
of
last week,
August.
I'm busy up through the 20th, but the last week would be good.
Okay. Mary prefers end of August. Okay. Any other
Okay.
input?
When is
I'm
Keep in
not
mind
sure.
that
August.
end of August schools.
I'm sorry, I
What's
didn't
that?
hear you, Samir.
I was saying end of August is also keep in mind school starts, so I don't know. But that's just, just to throw in, then people, but end of August is good. Also along with sometime early September, right after Labor Day.
Okay, masked or maskless?
No mask, no mask. I think
Maskless.
everybody is pretty, I think we just need to start becoming norm, and if somebody's uncomfortable, they'll wear a mask.
Yeah,
Outside,
mask optional.
yes.
Okay, any other input?
Yeah, we've typically had the summer barbecue at the sports park in Pleasanton over the last, I don't know how many years. And it fits particularly well. There's good parking there and it's convenient, and well, we've done it before. In the past, Bob Naylor, our former treasurer, would make the reservations because he is a Pleasanton resident and you have to put down some money. Do we have anybody here who's a Pleasanton resident who would make the reservation for the club?
I think Jeff Niebert did the last time. He made the reservation for Sharon, I believe.
I remember Jeff Niebert saying that he's going to someplace like Australia for several months.
Okay.
I wouldn't swear to it, and I couldn't tell you which months.
But if he's here, he can, he can get us the reservation if it needs a Pleasanton.
Yeah,
resident.
but there's no other Pleasanton resident on the
Well, Cheryl Cook Callio is a Pleasanton resident, right? We have members that are in Pleasanton.
You're right. I'd feel okay asking Cheryl to do that.
Yeah, okay, well, if we have someone who's not elected, maybe we could do that too.
We could just use somebody's address. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, slap me.
No.
Okay, so Ellis, mask or maskless, end of August or September?
Okay, and
Which one? End of August or September?
I don't care.
Don't care, mask or maskless? Mask optional?
Optional.
Okay, mask optional, okay. All right. And Jackie, any input on the picnic?
I think that availability is going to be the driver. The first thing first is to see if it's even available in August.
Yeah, the same like Ellis said, the sports park picnic grounds is a wonderful place for us. So end of August is my recommendation, and maybe that's what we shoot for, being that you're either way. And,
I have no preference.
Mask optional?
You know what? Depends on what's going on with my husband. I'll probably be wearing a mask regardless because he'll be in radiation.
Okay, mask optional, or everybody should wear a mask?
Optional.
Optional, okay. All right, that sounds good. Any other input on this for voting on the picnic?
I just would recommend, since you you don't know what's going to be coming in the future, that you just say as aligned with Pleasanton Dublin city guidance, because that way, if the city guidance elevates the week of, you just go with that. And the guidance right now is it's up to you. You're outside, it's your choice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay,
That's
that
a real
sounds.
good point about the,
Avoid
city
conflict at
guidance.
all,
Absolutely.
at all
Okay.
terms.
All right, sounds good. All right, we need to take a vote before we adjourn. The recommendation was for $100 to give to Jackie, the secretary, to disperse in her whichever way she believes appropriate. Money for ads on social media. The motion was made by Ellis. Did you want to make it again?
Could I amend that a little bit in that Samir is suggesting that 2 or 3 people get together and figure out what the best way to attack this. So that money be given to Samir's committee to use at the discretion, although it may be Jackie that's actually spending money.
Yeah, and I'd like to actually make a little minor modification of that is we could, I think definitely we need to meet and talk about plan. But I'm willing to just throw out my $10 and try it out and see what happens before we spend any of the club's money. I don't mind doing that. I just never didn't want to, try it out and until we talked.
Well, that's very generous of you, but I'm definitely against that. And I think that we should use the money that we allocate. And why don't we just make the motion that we have for the secretary and for the committee for membership to jointly decide what to do with it. And we're going to allocate, why don't we just make it a fund that we can use, and maybe we just start off with membership and then maybe we do as Ellis recommended. But I think we just keep it simple. Let's vote $100 money for social media ads.
Second.
Alan, second. Okay, let's take a vote. All of those in favor say aye.
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 All of those opposed? All of those abstaining? Motion passes unanimously, $100 to be allocated by Alan, who we would like to give a quick opportunity for the treasurer's report at this point.
Okay, just real quick. This last month, we had $50 in income. from dues. That's the only income we
Good.
have is dues. We had credit card fees for collecting the money of $2.06. We had a $200 expense for money we voted last time to donate for the sheriff's campaign to pay that off. And also there's another $200 outstanding where Josh Hader
Yes.
he hasn't deposited a check yet. So
Okay,
that's
good.
outstanding. Leaving us a total of $3,302.62. We have 119 members.
Good. That's
And
up.
Alan, just a heads up, next month, I got a notice from our internet provider that they'll hit us with that annual fee next month.
Okay, and also we have insurance coming up pretty soon.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. Okay, any announcements from the floor or issues to be brought up at this point? Let's go ahead and hear from the membership.
Is there any news on the use of the IBEW hall forthcoming?
No update since last month, and the word was likely at the end of summer, but nothing definitive in terms of a date.
Got it.
So it's likely that August and maybe September will be Zoom again. Okay. Other questions, announcements, issues?
Ron, I just wanted to make a quick announcement for at least people in Livermore. We got the notice that there will be a town hall for Eric Swalwell this Thursday in Livermore. So I signed up for that. I'm gonna go to that.
Wonderful.
I don't
Do we have a
know.
time frame on Thursday
Um,
or a location?
I'd have to look it up. They're kind of candid. You have to sign up for it, go through the registration process. I have it in my email. I just haven't opened it.
Okay.
They don't post it out until you register, because he's had a couple people that kind of stalk him and hound him every time he has a town hall.
Was that a
Yeah.
town hall or a hosting? I understand there's a Pleasanton family hosting him this month.
What I got notice of is Thursday at Town Hall in Livermore, Saturday a hike in Castro Valley, and then a town hall in Union City on August 16th.
Okay.
I haven't heard about it.
These live town halls?
Yes.
And that's the danger, because he's so progressive, and people see him on Fox, and so the right-wing nuts are Eric's a big target for them. So we can understand the need for security. Mary?
Are these virtual town halls, or are they, do they have physical locations? And if so, what is the physical location for Livermore?
Let me look, Mary. Like I said, you had to sign up for it, and before they even tell you what it is, and I haven't opened it up. I've been having email
I don't want to
problems.
sign up for something if I don't know where it is.
How about if you know what, I could take a picture of the scan.
Thank
It was
you.
a postcard, and there's a scan, and I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Or
And then
maybe
you
you
just
could,
point your
can you
thumb.
put it in the chat?
A picture of the scan? Let me try. Hold on. Not sure.
And if not, if you want to send it to me, it doesn't work in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I would
Thank you.
like to know as well, so however it gets.
Right.
Here, hold up. Let me. I'm trying. See if I can get the direct link. It's an Eventbrite. Shoot. Sorry, I can't. I'm
Yeah,
not
no
that
problem.
good.
Eventbrite, and I get all the postings in Facebook and elsewhere, and I haven't seen that one.
I will get it. I have it on my phone now.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds
right.
good. Se-
I'll send
Yeah,
it
it would
to
be
you
great.
guys.
You can send it to Van and to Mary. That's
Okay.
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Okay, any other issues, comments? Jokes? Well, then I guess we're done. It's actually a little after 9. Thank you for a wonderful meeting and all your contributions, in particular Sarah, Ellis, and Van and Samir. And we'll look forward to our next meeting, which is a Zoom meeting, 3rd Monday of August. Thank you all and
Bye.
good night.
Thanks,
you all so
everyone. And
much.
thank you, Ron.
Nice to see you. Have a
Okay.
good night. Bye.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.